Welcome back to One True Podcast. My guest today, Grant Gardner. He covers Samford University for State of the Bulldogs. Been there doing for a couple of years. Grant, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty well, Zach. Thanks for having me. Excited to Samford play one of their two bye games this year. First one Baylor, then Texas A&M at the end of the year. So we got this one first. Don't worry about the other one later.
And you're getting the full Big 12 experience. You get the
Exactly. Yeah.
full, like, even if Baylor doesn't get to face Texas Tech, you get the full Butt Bowl experience.
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
um,
Yeah.
Samford. I guess straight up, tell me about Samford. Who are some of the players that I think Baylor fans um should look out for, and I guess who are some players and guys that we should know going into this game?
Yeah. This is pretty interesting because Samford only returned four starters from a season ago. They lost guys in the portal on defense to Houston, another starting corner at Temple, Eastern Michigan, New Mexico State. So you go down the list. This is the most turnover that they've had pretty much. It's a young team overall, but they've got some senior leaders, and it starts with Quincy Crittenden, quarterback. This is third year or second year as a full-time starter. His actually first claim to fame was he had to pitch in 2022 and the first overtime of our season clinching regular season game in 2022 to help Samford win the SoCon title. So that was his first kind of action. And he started that first playoff game, which was the win over Southeast Louisiana. Then he had to start against North Dakota State. How about that for your second career start going
Man,
in the Fargo Dome against North Dakota State? So yeah, that was pretty wild. So yeah, he's been around a while. He's a true dual threat quarterback. So I mean, he has his senior leader. He started as a walk-on, so now he's been a full scholarship guy ever since that 2022, his freshman season. So yeah, he's one to watch for. Then on defense, senior leader over there is Jaden Mosley, middle linebacker, number 5. He gets to wear what Samford calls their Charles Williams Memorial jersey. It's like LSU wears the number 18. They give it out every year. Samford does the same thing. They're number 5. So he's Samford's senior leader, middle linebacker. He takes over for a guy, Noah Martin, last year, who's an all-conference, all-American guy. So Mosley will be one to watch on defense. So those are kind of the top 2 leaders and 2 of the 4 returning starters from a season ago.
that's insane. 4 returning starters.
Yeah,
That's. I mean, welcome to the transfer portal.
yeah,
Welcome to that
exactly.
era. I mean, it seems like listening to Coach Hatcher, listening to his press conference from earlier today, it seems like he's excited for games like this,
Yeah.
for the players to get
Yeah.
to maybe show out on a bigger stage in a big stadium, all that. Like, what is Coach Hatcher like? Because he's been around for a minute. Obviously, he's won plenty. Um, how would you describe him as a coach and kind of as a leader for this team?
Well, he's going into his 11th year, like we said before we started recording. Pretty wild that he's going
Yeah.
into his 7th year. He trace all the way back. I think Dave Aranda mentioned his presser knowing him from when Dave was at Delta State and Hatcher was at Valdosta, and then 5 years before that, Hatcher he hired Kirby Smart to be his defensive coordinator in 2000. So he's got that.
Wow.
And so his 2001 staff at Valdosta State, he had Kirby as his DC, and then Will Muschamp was on staff as well. So like a pretty wild connection when you go like all the way back to D2 ball and how we kind of got to this point. And Samford got to play at Georgia, so and a couple years ago, so actually their championship season. So Hatcher got to go over there and join Kirby. That was pretty fun. But Hatcher, he's a true offensive genius. So the Hatchet tag, as you call it, an air raid principle. He comes from the Hal Mummy, Mike Leach tree, Sonny Dykes tree. So his roots are pretty deep inside the state of Texas. He played for Hal Mummy at Valdosta and then coached with Leach and Sonny Dykes. So his roots are pretty deep in the state of Texas when it comes to the guys that are coaching there now, obviously. But yeah, a good offensive mind that's kind of been Samford's identity over the past pretty much his whole tenure other than that very first year.
I mean, is it a fun offense to watch? I think they put up 450 yards
Yeah,
last week against the Citadel. I mean, only scored 13 points, but
right. Yeah.
450 yards. I mean, so it's fun. Got to be fun to watch, right?
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Especially with this added motion or added wrinkle with Crittenden kind of being more of a dual threat guy,
Hmm.
maybe legs first and then arm second. But it's kind of a different kind of style of quarterback that Hatcher's had in the past. He's had a Devlin Duck Hodges who got some time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was the
Ah,
guy where he's like running was basically not an option. We're just going to throw 80, 85 times a game. So yeah, pretty exciting. So they're fast paced, high tempo, try to move the ball, get the ball out of your hands quick, super fast. So it is super fun to watch when it's working and clicking and everything is working when it comes to short passes and yards after catch, kind of get the momentum kind of offense going, getting down the field.
Well, I'll say this: Baylor has not fared well. I know it's only 2 games into the season.
Yeah,
They have not fared well in stopping running quarterbacks. First
yeah,
off, Jackson Arnold just put up
yeah.
monster numbers
He did.
against
Yeah.
this defense, and then last week, Kevin Jennings. They held him a little bit more in check, but
Hmm.
so if Quincy has any chance, they're going to run a lot. So
Yeah.
I would not
Yeah.
be surprised to see him kind of go off on the ground there. But yeah, should be an interesting watch. Where do you think this game fits into the narrative of the season, if there is one?
Yeah.
2 games in, 2 losses. Like you mentioned, this is one of their bye games. I don't really expect. I think Baylor is probably going to win this game.
Yes, for sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but like in the overall growth of the season and the story of the season, what do you think they're hoping to achieve?
I think Coach Hatcher mentioned it, or he's mentioned it in the past. And he mentioned it as presser today. Just basically, just guys getting to enjoy that kind of environment. A lot of the guys on the team went to Florida last year. That was DJ Lagway's first career start for Florida, so the guys got to experience that environment. Super loud crowd. Gainesville's pretty rocking. So I think this guy's kind of get that cool experience, and then finishing off with Kyle Field at the end of the year will be pretty sweet. So it's kind of cool for those guys. And again, what kind of any positive momentum you kind of take out of this, whether especially offensively, even though they did put up 450 yards of offense last week, they only scored 13 points because that was due to a couple turnovers inside the red zone. So what kind of offensive momentum can you kind of get? What kind of positive can you kind of carry on, which will probably definitely be a loss before you have to go on the road to Western Carolina when you get back in the FCS slate. So again, probably what kind of confidence can they kind of glean, especially on the offensive side of the ball? Because I think the defense will play well and has played well over the first 2 games.
Oh, they're playing at A&M, not
Yeah.
Texas Tech.
Yeah, sorry, A&M. Yeah, sorry. That
I
incorrect.
miss I guess I misheard you there, but
Pretty good.
that's going to be a
Oh, yeah.
one that's going to be another fun game. Uh you've been around at Samford for a while, right? Only working with the covering the team for a couple of years, but
Yeah.
were you around when they won the SoCon, and what was that season? What did that season mean to the team and to the university and everything?
Yeah, it was a little bit. I went to Samford too. I graduated in 2019, so kind of got that early part. Like I mentioned, the Duck Hodges kind of era when they went down to Florida State, had some success in that game, and Mississippi State, same kind of successes too. But yeah, the season just like everything clicked, everything worked. Like the defense was okay, but the offense was just extremely high pace, like top 5 in scoring, top 5 in points and yards per game. So that season was pretty exciting to kind of give Samford what they've kind of been waiting for, kind of a culmination of everything kind of coming together at the right time, which included Samford's first Southern Conference outright title win in history, their first regular season conference title since like 1930s or something like that. So that season was pretty fun, and maybe scoring 50 points and you're winning is also pretty fun, especially when the offense can go out there and do what they do. So yeah, that season was pretty important, kind of like the camaraderie of kind of like the city and kind of bring everybody together. Because obviously we saw that too with Samford basketball the last few years with the Bucky McMillan era and how the city kind of grew into like enjoy and love the team. It's really cool when like one season it can have that kind of impact. So it was awesome to see them kind of actually get that kind of momentum moving forward.
You mentioned Jaden Mosley, linebacker, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's what's his story? Hey, you said that's a special number, that's a special jersey.
Yeah.
How did he get it? And like, I guess what does he mean to that defense overall?
Yeah, it's voted on by his teammates. So basically, a team captain, your teammates vote. And so we got to ask him about it at media days. He played it off, but he thought he knew how cool it was. Obviously, he wasn't gonna talk about himself. A mild mannered guy. He learned a lot last year watching Noah Martin. Both of those guys kind of in the middle of Stanford defense, linebacker. Jaden was the leading tackle or second leading tackler last year with over 80 total tackles. He's the leading tackler so far this year. So it's cool kind of to have, even with Martin's departure, kind of cool of him kind of being that leader and kind of say, hey guys, put the team on my back and follow me. So it's cool seeing that guy get that kind of recognition, becoming a leader, especially in his senior season.
You know, I listening to Coach Hatcher, he just seems like a really good dude.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
I know, from the Baylor side of things, I know that he was teammates with offensive line coach Mason Miller.
That's
And I'm
right. Yeah.
just, do you think that he appreciates kind of that history that he's had with, like you mentioned, some pretty big name
Yeah.
coordinators? And like,
Uh,
do you think he's kind of satisfied with what like his role in college football, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. He's got a good kind of even keel. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He's always super positive. Doesn't matter what happens. Like, okay, we're just gonna get the next play. We're gonna focus on what we need to do to get better. And so you can kind of tell. I think ESPN did a cool story on kind of his whole relationship with Kirby Smart a couple years ago. So it's cool kind of hearing those stories. Haven't gotten to ask him personally, but I'm sure he's got some crazy Mike Leach stories from back in the day and all those crazy stories. So I would think he's pretty happy, even though Samford has kind of been a good home for him. Again, he's the winningest coach in program history. He's coming into his 11th season. It's just been a lot of history. His son got to play for him and coach for him at Samford before. He's a GA at Georgia now after being in Oklahoma last year. So he's got a son in the profession. So I think it's just cool seeing the city like at the 2022 season kind of rally around him. So I think so for sure.
Awesome. Well, I'll end with this one. What do you expect from this team in this game against Baylor? What do you want to see from Samford and anything that they can accomplish against the Bears?
Yeah, it looks like Coach Ren is a super nice guy. Everyone likes him. I hope he can be kind of nice and kind of even keel. You know, Kirby Smart was nice when Samford went to Georgia a couple years ago. He's put up 33 points. He's like, okay, I don't need to blow him out, show it off. I know a Baylor after kind of had the circus of last week beating SMU probably wants a more even keel. Kind of okay, let's just go through the motions. No one gets hurt. We'll see if Michael Trigg, the tight end, plays. See what Sawyer Robertson plays. So it'll be cool to kind of see Sawyer kind of this environment, see him kind of grow over the season. But for Samford, it's just, again, what kind of positive momentum can they kind of take? Do they get in the end zone? Can they score? They got to a score at Florida last year, and then, but they've had some success, not winning, but success in scoring points in some of these big time games. They went to Florida a couple years ago. They put up 42 first half points. That was in Dan Mullen's final season in Gainesville. So they've got some experience when it comes to scoring points in these games. So we'll see if they can kind of bring up some of that magic from before. But again, I think Samford, just try to find some positive momentum and see if you can get the end zone once or twice.
Great stuff. Well, Grant, thanks for doing this. I appreciate you coming on. Tell anybody in Waco where they can find you, where they can find your coverage, and where to go look out for all the stuff you make.
Yeah, sure. It's pretty lengthy, so I'll get into it. Samford Scoop accounts on Twitter and Instagram, State of the Bulldogs podcast on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And then we also have a website, stateofthebulldogs.com, which you can go check out some of our stuff, sign up to our websites. Yeah, Samford Scoop on Twitter and Instagram are the main two places to go. And then you can find links to the podcast from there. So
beautiful. Well, appreciate you doing this. Have a great day.
For sure. Thanks, Zach. You too.